when when we bring them home, let's take care of them. Because what is happening now is that we're bringing home profoundly injured young men and women. It's not only physical, it's also psychological, emotional. I was out Walter Reed a few months ago checking on New York soldiers to make sure they were being taken care of after we'd heard that they weren't getting all the care they deserved. And I met a young Army captain, and he had lost his right arm in an attack on a convoy in Baghdad, and he'd lost his ring finger on his left hand because his wedding ring, under the heat of the explosion, had melted into his finger. And I said to him, "How you doing, Captain?" And he said, "Well, you know, I'm making progress on my prosthesis. The people helping me are terrific." He said, "But where do I go to get my brain back?" Because in addition to post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a real affliction that has to be treated seriously, we now have this new injury called traumatic brain injury. It happens when you are in proximity to explosions. It literally shakes your brain. So, you know, you look fine, maybe you have a physical injury, but this young man said to me, "You know, I went to West Point. I never had to have anybody take care of me before. Now my wife has to give me a list every morning, where I go, what I do." I think we have to do more. I have committed myself. I'm a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. I have worked to pass legislation already to take care of traumatic brain injury, to take care of a lot of our heroes coming home. But I think when someone serves our country, we take an oath, whether we raise our hands or not, to serve them. So I want to do everything possible to take care of our veterans, and I will, and I promise you that. Now, let's see, so many hands in so many places. Yes, right there, you dear, right there.
Thank you for being here. My name's Susan Polifronio. I have a small business in Los Angeles, but my question is actually, if you want to, and it's hard to follow the one that you were just answering because that's so poignant. If you want to bring the economy up, I'm really concerned about the amount of debt that is owed, the trillions of dollars of debt that's owned by countries like China, who do not have our country as their primary focus. They have their own country. So how do we do all the things that you're talking about and do that without being manipulated by forces outside the United States?
It's a great question. I've been warning about this. I've been warning about it. You know, when President Bush came into office, we had a balanced budget and a surplus. We had a... We had a projected $5.6 trillion surplus, which would have been more than enough to do what we needed to do to make sure Social Security was stable, to make sure Medicare would always be there, to make investments in clean, green energy. We had the money, and now it's all gone, and we now have a $9 trillion debt. And that debt is owed to foreign countries primarily. We owe money to everybody. We have some very big lenders like China. And, you know, when people say to me all the time, you know, let's get tough on China over trade, let's get tough on China over currency manipulation, I started saying 5, 6 years ago, well, how do you get tough on your banker? You know, how do you stand up and tell somebody that you owe so much money to, and because the Bush Republicans have been so fiscally irresponsible, they continue to borrow this money for 2 reasons: tax cuts for the wealthy and the war in Iraq. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to end the war in Iraq. That means $300 million a day will not have to be spent in Iraq any longer. And we're going to end the tax cuts for the wealthy. They're going to go back and pay the tax rates over, if they make over $250,000 a year, they're going to pay the same tax rates they paid back in the 1990s so that I can give tax relief to middle-class families and hard-working families going into your pockets, your futures. Now, I think I can take a couple more, and I want to go to places I haven't been. There's a lady back there in blue. I will. Okay, I'll come, I promise. Yes, in the blue, yes. Right. Well, here's one of the things that I will do as president. I've tried to do it in the past as a senator, but I think we can really make progress on this. We still have tax breaks in our tax code that go to companies that move jobs overseas. The biggest one is this one. You know, if you have a company here in America, doesn't matter what size it is, you pay taxes on your profits that you realized here in America. But we have a big tax break so that if you move the jobs here from Southern California to some other country and you make a profit, as long as you don't bring, quote, bring the money home, you don't have to pay taxes. So what we've done, in effect, is to subsidize the loss of our jobs. And, you know, my edit, look, this is a free country. Somebody wants to do business and create jobs in some other country, we're not going to stop them. We're a free country. But I'll tell you what, we're not going to give them a penny of your tax dollars to make it happen. We're going to end all of those tax breaks. Yes, right there. Yes.
I voted for your husband. My first election was, I voted for your husband. And again, when he was reelected, which was great. My question is, my father's been a business owner for 30 years, self-employed. He's not of best of health. And we tried to get health insurance for him and my mother. We couldn't afford it. It's about $1,000 to cover him a month. So we really need some really good health insurance for those self-employed people that could not afford it. And because of your husband and the health insurance that he did give us during the time that he was our president, my brothers and sisters were able to have health insurance now. You know, but now that they're getting of age, it's going to be even harder.
That's right.
Because they're not working and they're going to be in college, so they're going to be without health insurance after a certain time. So we really need something very, very strong for our economy for health insurance.
You are 100% right. And, you know, one of the programs that I helped to start 10 years ago now was the Children's Health Insurance Program, which your younger siblings are now on. And we had 6 million kids around the country get health insurance who never had it before. And I want to expand that so it covers every child. And I have a plan that will give your father, your mother, yourself, and everybody here health insurance if you don't already have it. And it's very simple. If you have health insurance through your employer, through a good union contract, and you're happy with it, nothing changes. You keep what you have. But you will always have the option, if something does change, to join people who are uninsured and people who don't have affordable insurance or it doesn't cover what they need, because we will open up the congressional plan to everybody. Congress has a really good plan for itself and its staff and federal employees. There are over 250 different choices that you can choose from because, you know, everybody has different needs. I mean, if you're 24 years old, single, healthy, you may need just health insurance against catastrophe, like, you know, a car accident or something like that. If you're a 45-year-old father of 2, you got to think about your kids. So there's different needs out there. Everybody will be eligible, and you will be able to pick among these 250 plans that cover preventive health care, cover mental health care, cover dental care, because we want people to actually get healthier, not get sicker. And the way to do that is to provide health care for all the different needs you have. And if you look at the cost of what the plan is that I get through the Congress, the federal plan, it's cheaper than what you can get through an employer or what you can get in the private marketplace because taxpayers pay 75% of the cost. And what we're going to do is to open it up and to say, if you can't afford it, we will provide health care tax credits. We will give them to individuals and families. We will limit to a low percentage of your income what you ever have to pay for health premiums so that you can budget it. It won't be jumping up the way it is today. $1,000 for an individual a month, $1,200 for the average family policy in America. And we will help small businesses be able to afford it, as I said before. Now, I am running for president because I want to solve problems. Now, it would be politically easier for me to say, well, let's leave some people out, because people said that. And one of my leading opponents decided not to cover everybody. 15 million people left out. But, you know, who do you leave out then? I mean, do you leave out people who are already sick? Do you leave out people who are well and just hope they don't get sick? I am running for president not to put Band-Aids on our problems, but to solve our problems. And so I will solve it. Thank you all very, very much.